friends, and welcome to the Happy Hour. My name is Jamie Ivey, and I'm your host today and every week. If this is your first week, I want to say thank you for joining us. The Happy Hour podcast is just a time when I invite another girlfriend to come on the show with me, and we really just chat about life. We chat about real stuff. So it's a time where you get to listen to real women talk about real things, and so I hope you enjoy it. Trillia Newbell is my guest today, and she's the author of United, Captured by God's Vision for Diversity, and her newest book, Fear and Faith, Finding the Peace Your Heart Craves, actually comes out this year, April 1st. Trillia is currently the Director of Community Outreach for the Southern Baptist Convention's Ethics and Religious Liberty Commission. Trillia is married to her best friend Thern, and they live with their 2 kids in Franklin outside of Nashville. I will have links to all of her blog, everything we talk about over on my blog, jamieivey.com, and where you can follow her on Twitter. This conversation was such a joy for me today. We talked about her book, different fears that we as women face, and we dove into some of those personally for both of us. We talk about how her family is tackling the subject of race in their household, and we just had a really good time. I know you're going to love this conversation. Today's podcast is brought to you by Beauty Counter. Did you know that the United States has not passed a federal law governing the cosmetic industry since 1938? Or that our country has banned or restricted only 11 ingredients to date, while the European Union has banned close to 1,400. Beauty Counter, however, has banned over 1,500 ingredients for their products, which is why I'm proud to introduce you to the most fabulous and safe skincare products for you and your family. Discover why their mission is to get safe products into the hands of everyone. For more information, visit my website, jamieivey.com. Okay, guys, here's our conversation, and I want to let you know that Trillia has said that she's going to give away 2 of her new books, so we'll talk more about that at the end. Also, I have some upcoming guests that I want to let you know about. Coming up is Melanie Schenkel, Trisha Davis, Melanie Dale, and Tasha Morrison. So if you know these ladies and have any questions you think would be fun for us to talk about, shoot me a tweet, Jamie_Ivey, Instagram, Facebook, whatever. All right, here's Trillia and I chatting. How are you this morning?
I'm doing very well, yeah.
Okay, are you in Nashville or Knoxville?
I'm in Nashville, or I'm actually technically in Franklin.
Okay.
But I lived in Knoxville, so a lot of people are confused. But 2 years ago, we moved to Franklin, and we love it. Oh, my goodness.
I still have a 615 area code number.
Oh, how funny.
And I've been in Austin for 6.5 years.
Were you in Nashville?
Yeah, my husband, we lived in Murfreesboro for 5 years.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we were right over there, right down, what is that, 820, 620?
65?
65? I don't know. There was some connecting road from, I don't know. It was a long time ago. Oh, okay.
Oh, well, 840 or
840, something like that.
Yeah.
There you go. We got it down.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Trillia, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thanks for having me. I'm really, really excited.
I know it's like an early Monday morning. Are all your kids at school?
No, just one, and the other is playing in the living room while I'm in the back room.
So wonderful. So how old are your kids?
So Weston is 5, Weston is not 5. Weston is 8, and Sydney is 5. Yeah, I don't even know. There are only 2, and I can't get them straight.
It's okay. So your 8-year-old is in school?
Yes, he is in 2nd grade.
And next year, you'll have both in school?
Yes, it will be so strange.
I tell you what, I've said this before, but the first time that all my kids were in school, I literally did not know what to do with myself. I've got my schedule kind of thought out, but one day I think is going to be dedicated to cycling. Yes.
I was like, I'm going to be outside as much as humanly possible. But no, it's going to be so strange. It's going to be strange.
It is going to be strange. I just was like, I don't even know what to do. Okay, you just mentioned cycling, and I just learned this about you this morning, okay, when I was looking at your website. Do you do triathlons?
Okay, so no. Yes and no. I want to do triathlons, but I've just started the training process. So but what I'm going to start with, because of time, I think you call them duathlons or biathlons or...
I don't even know.
It's two sports.
Okay.
So instead of 3. So I'm going to just concentrate on cycling and running because swimming, I started training for it and that's all I was doing.
Oh.
Because it's so technical, and it takes, for me, it was going to take the most amount of time to train for. And because of lack of time and accessibility, it's just easier to bike and swim, or bike and run.
Bike and run. So you'll get these two down, and then do you eventually want to do a triathlon?
I think it would be a blast. And so I kind of do, but if I were to see myself in the long run, I bet I will end up doing cycling. They have a lot of like century races and various rides where you ride for like 100 miles and crazy stuff like that. I could really see myself enjoying that thoroughly. So it'll be interesting to see, but I imagine that at the end, I'll just be cycling.
Okay, there's a lot of cycling here in Austin. It's like really big, and there's tons of hills, and so I see people cycling on some of these roads, and just like keep praying a prayer for them that they make it to the top. I mean, it is hard.
It is hard. It's incredibly hard, and hills are awful. So, but I really enjoy it.
I do love the spin class at my local gym.
Yeah, I used to teach that.
Look at you.
I was a fitness instructor for 8 years. So
I did not know that.
Yes, learning something new every day. Before riding, even before I moved to the Nashville area, I taught group fitness classes, and I helped train people, and I was very, very involved. But as riding increased, something had to go.
Something had to decrease. You know what? I can see that about you now that you tell me that.
Yeah.
You would be such an encourager.
Oh, well, it was incredibly fun, and it was a joy. It was a joy to get to encourage men and women in their fitness and in these classes, and I just had a lot of fun, but I had to move on.
I bet you were the nicest spin teacher ever. Sometimes when I take spin class, some of the teachers make me a little anxious. Yeah,
so I didn't, but it's interesting because in group fitness, you really do try to find your niche. Mm-hmm. Spinning wasn't my niche because I was just kind of this like, let's do this. So mine was body pump, which is a weight class.
Oh, I love body pump. Yes.
Yeah, I do too. I was a Les Mills instructor. Okay. And then body attack, which is a high intensity training class. Okay. So I would be more of your coach, kind of intense and also the strength training. So I didn't teach it spinning I didn't teach spinning. I taught cycling, but I didn't teach that for very long.
What's the difference between spin class and cycling class?
Spinning is a brand.
Okay.
So I just wanted to be real careful not to say I was a spin instructor because it's a brand. Yeah.
Okay. But it's basically the same thing, right?
Yeah, it depends on the person you talk to.
Okay.
But
I'm always so confused by that.
Basically, it is the same thing.
Right. Gotcha. Okay, well, see, here's my deal. It's funny that you say that this triathlon stuff, because I used to be a runner. I have a really bad back, and so I can't really run much anymore. But I always thought I would love to do a triathlon. But here's the problem, is I don't know how to swim, and I know how to ride a bike, but like from when I was like 8. So I don't really think I know how to ride a bike. I mean, I know how to swim. I can swim, but I can't swim like you swim in a race is my thing.
I totally understand. You know what? It was incredible. I swim like you swim, except for now I understand technique a lot more because I started taking some classes and I read some books on total immersion swimming, which doesn't matter, but it's amazing what you can do with a few lessons and someone coaching you who knows what they're doing.
I have a girlfriend here that coaches swim league for kids and students, and I have told her I really want you to teach me to swim, because without not being able to run anymore, swimming is such a good exercise.
Oh, it's perfect. It's excellent because you get cardio without the impact.
Yep.
So it's a wonderful exercise tool. And even if you can't swim, as in do lap swimming, you could get in the pool and still do really intense cardio workout with a less resistant, not resistance, but impact on your joints. So.
Last summer I had the kids at the pool and I went over to the lap pool and I'm like, I'm going to go swim some laps. I didn't care what I looked like. I got halfway through the first lap and was out of breath. I was like, this is ridiculous. The lifeguards are going to have to save me because I am so out of breath in the one lap.
No,
Crazy.
it's incredibly intense. Yeah.
So intense.
Yeah.
Okay, well, good for you learning how to do that.
Thanks.
Man, I'm going to take swimming. This is going to be on my to-do list. I'm going to get swimming lessons this summer.
That's great.
Yes.
Yay. Tell me how it goes.
I'll let you know. Okay, well, Trillia, I'm trying to remember when we first met. Oh, wait, was that IF gathering last year, I bet.
Well, no, I didn't. It may have been at the...
Verge. Were you at Verge?
I wasn't at Verge or IF. Remember, we had a small group of people, women?
Yes. That's where I met you.
Yes.
There was a small gathering in the fall of leaders, and I met you there.
Yes, and
That's
it was
exactly where I met you.
Maybe 2 years ago.
Almost 2 years ago, yeah.
It's amazing.
And then I saw you again at the conference in Orlando.
Yep.
Gospel Coalition for Women, right?
Yes.
And now.
Yeah, and I think we've just connected online quite a bit, and I'm thankful for that.
Yes.
I love following you and seeing your family.
So fun. When I saw you in July, we were talking about your first book, United, but then you were telling me about a new book that was coming out soon, and when is that going to be released?
On Wednesday, April 1st.
April 1st.
Yes, which is so funny because it's April Fool's Day, but it is releasing. Fear and Faith releases this Wednesday. I'm very excited.
Okay, Fear and Faith. What brought on this book? How did you get to this book in your life?
Well, I've experienced quite a bit of trials, and so I've had 4 miscarriages, the death of my father and my sister, and I've just struggled with fear. And I knew that this is a topic that many women struggle with in particular, and I wanted to take it on because I thought that it could potentially minister to other people who have struggled with fear, and I know it's just so prevalent.
It is so prevalent. I would say that this is a huge topic, especially for women. Like, I'm thinking in my life, my personal life, my husband jokes that I have something called, he made this up, but he says I have worst case scenario disease.
Oh, yes.
He calls it WCSD. And he says that comes out in me. And it is in scenarios where I'm being fearful. Like I'm afraid the worst thing is going to happen to us. And so, but it sounds like you've actually walked through some of my worst case scenarios, which led you to write this book. So tell me, what was the hardest? I have the chapters here that you wrote. I'm going to read them for the listeners real quick. Fear of man, fear of the future, fear of other women. That's a good one, Trillia. Fear of tragedies, fear of not measuring up, fear of physical appearance, fear of sexual intimacy, and fear of the Lord. That covers everything that I can think of in my life that I might be fearful of. Which one of those was the hardest for you to write?
Fear of tragedy was probably the hardest for me to write because it's the one that I've experienced the most.
See, I would have thought that would actually been easy for you to walk through. So that's interesting.
Well, it was the hardest to write only because I was rehashing.
It was personal.
It was personal, yeah.
Uh-huh.
But it was easy to write if you're talking just physical, sitting down and writing.
Because you lived it.
Yeah, but it was. It's hard to rehash, but it's the good news of rehashing is it also reminded me of God's faithfulness. It's one of those. It's one of those things that it's difficult, but it's good to remember because God has been faithful. Mm-hmm. Another one that was hard to write is the fear of man because it's so humbling because of how much I had struggled with the fear of man. And I'm very honest in this book. I don't want to present it or myself as have arrived because neither are true.
Right.
And so the fear of man chapter was really humbling because just as I wrote out all of the different ways that I was so concerned about what others thought of me. Yeah, it was just a humbling exercise, but it was so good because I know God is for me, so who can be against me?
Right.
So it's just good to be reminded of the truth while writing about difficult things.
Oh, that is so good. Now, this book, your first book is called United. Am I right?
Yes.
And that book, I'll never forget what you told me one time about that book. The book is, what is the little tagline under that book?
Captured by God's vision for diversity?
Yeah, and it's about diversity. And so I remember one time I was talking to you about the book, and I haven't forgotten this ever that you said this. And you said, I hope that when my kids are older, they question, Mom, why did you have to write this book?
Right.
And I have thought about that forever. And I actually finally, I apologize for this, I finally read that book over Christmas, your book.
Yes, thank you.
Yes, and loved it. I loved it so much. And in a world that is, race has been such a topic, especially this past year with everything that has happened in our country. And I was really thankful for your words on it. I mean, I really recommend it for people to grab and pick it up from a God-centered worldview on race. So I really, really appreciated your book.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for reading it. And you were right. I feel like it's kind of one of those books for such a time as this. I just really didn't anticipate that you can't anticipate that we'd have so many cases and such division over the past year. So I'm thankful that people are reading it, and I pray it's useful.
Yeah. Oh, so good. So good. And I just watched a video of you and your husband last night on the ERLC about interracial marriage.
Yes.
Y'all were so cute.
Thanks. We love each other.
I've seen your husband in your pictures before, but it's always fun and interesting to see like the person that's not in the spotlight per se,
Yeah.
And to see them have their voice and talk. So it was so cute.
It was fun. It was definitely fun. And I hope he'll do it again for other things. But yeah, it was a joy.
And you said in there, and I was actually, when I saw the video, I was hoping that this question would have been asked, but you said that you guys haven't really had much pushback when you were first dating. Like, I appreciated your husband who was like, no one actually thought it was weird at all that I was marrying a black woman,
Yeah.
So have y'all always lived in Tennessee is my question?
Yes.
And you've never had any pushback?
Okay, so we have had small push-outs. We had one person, which was so strange, actually heckle us.
Oh, what is this, like 1950? What do you mean?
Well, yeah, and the strangest part of it was actually a black couple, and they were accusing me of being a sellout.
Oh, okay.
And so it was a strange interaction because, one, you don't typically see that. And two, we didn't know how to respond. We were in shock.
Yeah.
So, but typically, generally we just haven't received any. We did go to one community in Memphis where we got a lot of looks and we felt kind of out of place. But beyond those things, I haven't experienced anyone, neither of us, really push on our relationship to our faces. Yeah. We are in the South, so.
Right. We lived outside of Nashville for 5 years previous to moving to Austin, and that's when we first started all of our adoption processes. And so our son Deacon is our second child that we brought home, and he's biracial. And so his birth mom is white and his birth dad is black. And I remember one time we were talking, they weren't friends, they were like neighbors of ours, And actually this might have been, we already had Deacon home and we were adopting our kids in Haiti, Amos and Story, who are black, obviously, they're Haitian. But I remember they were just kind of looking at me like, but why would you do that to your family? Like they even said those words, like, why would you do it to your family? And I remember being so like, I don't know what to say to that. Like, I don't know what the question is, and I don't know what to say, Yeah. But, honestly, people have asked us, we're pretty far in this transracial family adoption stuff, and people have asked us before if we've gotten pushback or things said to us. And you know what, Trillia, we haven't that much.
Oh, that's great.
I know. I mean, I feel like sometimes when we're in like small town Texas, like East Texas or something, we'll walk into a restaurant and people do a double take.
Yeah.
But you know what? Our family looks different. And so I understand why they're just trying to figure it out, and that's okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
That's okay with me.
Yeah, I think that's gracious. I think people are just trying to figure out, okay, so, and aren't necessarily having accusing
right.
in their minds.
Right.
And so that's great. And it's so encouraging that you haven't received a lot. Of course, you are in Austin, which is
it's rather weird here.
Yeah.
We always say that although Austin is not the most diverse as in racial city, it is like just anything kind of goes here, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And so I do feel like we kind of get more looks outside of Austin, actually.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure of that.
Austin, people do weird stuff here all the time. And so it's just kind of anything goes.
Yeah. I can imagine.
Right. So speaking of race and stuff, I was going to ask you this. When everything in our country in the past year, there's been a lot of division, I would say. Would you agree?
Yes.
Yeah. And so I love when I see parts of the church stand up and have, great discussions on race. And I've been a part of a reconciliation group this past year that has been unbelievable for me. It's been so wonderful just to be in a room with women of several different races and to hear and to let us, have good, healthy conversations. And all of us are believers. And so they're all based on with that as well. So, and throughout this year with these different conversations that begin on in the United States, has that looked any different with your family and how you talk with your kids coming from a family with both races represented? And this is where my question comes from. I have children in my family that are different races of me. And Trillia, just honestly, I've had a really hard time talking with them about this. I have talked with my friends in my reconciliation circle, but there's something about that I just feel like if I don't tell my kids, then they won't have to know. Do you struggle with that at all?
I don't, but the reason is that I just don't want, okay, I do in that I wish that I could tell my kids that there's rainbows and
right.
that the world is beautiful
yes.
and they will stay innocent for the rest of their lives. But the truth is that I don't want my son to be asked questions from his classmates. I want him to know what's going on. And when his mommy walks in and if his classmates start to ask him questions about what's going on, I want him to be prepared.
Yeah.
And so we don't go into they don't know about shootings.
Right.
They don't know. They don't know, but they know that they know about the civil rights movement. They know that people continue to discriminate and to hate because of the color of skin. And so what we typically do is just remind them that we live in a fallen world and remind them of the way that of Imago Dei and that God's created them in his image and that he is good. And so I just, we just really, we don't shy away from the conversation, but we don't tell them all the details.
Right.
Yeah.
That's encouraging. That's what my friend Tasha has just been encouraging me as well. And I think I just have this weird feeling like if I don't tell them, then this will never happen to them. Then no one will ever discriminate against them. And that is setting them up for failure. It really is.
It is.
I know this. I'm preaching to myself all the time, and we have hard conversations with our kids about other things. Like my kids all know about sex and we had a friend die on the mission field and they all know about the dangers of sharing the gospel and unreached people groups. They know all of those things, but I don't know why this is so hard for me.
Because it's so personal.
Yeah, it's my babies,
Yeah,
I think
it's
that's
personal.
why. Yeah.
Yeah, and if I could imagine, it's personal. You want to protect them, and it's such a ridiculous. And I don't like using the word unfair because for a number of reasons, but almost an unfair trial. People will not like them only because of the color of their skin. Nothing to do with anything that comes out of their mouth.
Right.
And that is so hard.
That's hard.
So, yeah. And so I as a mom, I get it. I would be completely, it's a horrible thing to have to share that they could be discriminated against and they're men.
That's the big thing for me too. I don't even fear it as much with my daughter.
Yeah, the
It's
one,
my boys.
it's your one, and so gosh, that's so hard. And so, and with your daughter, there could be other things eventually, but so I get it, and I'll pray the Lord gives you faith as you share.
And he's like, I have so many friends that are encouraging me in this, and it's just small things. And I'll tell you, I was telling my girlfriend, this is when it hit me. We were at the MLK parade downtown this past year, and we're just standing there walking with our friends and marching with all the other people in the city, and it was beautiful and wonderful. And some people were walking by and they're like, this is for Michael Brown, and this is for Trayvon Martin. And one of my kids looked at me and said, who are they talking about? And I was just like, I haven't told my kids about any of this. And that was when it hit me, like, I don't want them to know. Like, I would rather them, and you're right, there are details they don't need to know, but other things. And I'm learning on this path of parenting.
Sure. I mean, and it's hard. Yeah. Oh gosh. And we're all learning. And they will, I imagine also, just as a mom, and just thinking about my book on fear, I have feared, because I do have biracial sweet little babies. Well, one of my kids looks very white. Yeah. Like he could very much pass. And I have feared, what if he rejects me later? Now, the Lord has given me faith to just love him and not to be that concerned. But when he was really young, that was a concern of my heart was fearful of this potential rejection, because I look so different than he. But God has given me grace.
Yeah. And I think that's a fear in our family as well, with having so many people who look so different. Yeah. But that goes to like everything you wrote. Your whole book is on fear. I need to read this because I'm looking at every chapter and I'm like, yes, 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 yes. What was writing fear of other women about?
Well, I often think that some of our judgment and comparison is actually just being fearful of being ourselves, fearful of allowing others to be themselves. And so I think I attack the mommy wars.
Yes.
And I just want them to end the mommy wars now. Because we just need to love one another. We have so much other stressors. Why in the world would we attack one another? I don't quite understand, but I do get that there's preferences, and so I write about that really what it potentially could be is that we're fearing one another rather than just loving and supporting one another and letting each other be open to live the way God has called us to live. Yeah. And also, I think so much of our warring and factions, it's just a confusion about womanhood. Yeah. And really, God is calling us above all to fear him. And all this other stuff, each is going to live the way the Lord has convicted them or encouraged them to live. Okay. But really, ultimately, we just need to fear the Lord. And if we can fear the Lord, then we can love one another and serve one another and live in harmony, though different. Right. So each woman's going to look different. So I really, that's what I wrote about mostly.
I just read a book a couple of months ago by Melanie Dale, who's coming on the Happy Hour soon too. And her book is called Women Are Scary: The Totally Awkward Adventure of Finding Mom Friends. And she talks about in there a lot about how sometimes it's hard to connect with other women, and she lists all kinds of different reasons and stuff, and then talks about how, we're all in this together. Come on, people, Yeah, yeah. I think sometimes too, women, I think we struggle too with, and this is, maybe it's just me laying all my sin out for everyone to hear right now, but I think we struggle too with really being happy and joyful for other women in areas of their life where we kind of wish we were there.
Yes, I write about that. Yes.
And that could be jobs, education, children, marriage. It could be tons of stuff. But I think that's a real struggle for women, is really being truly joyful for somebody else.
Yes, I actually, a section of it, I wrote about how we can label a certain woman the Stepford wife.
Oh, yeah.
And it's almost like a defense. Well, because she looks joyful in her cooking and cleaning, she must just be a Stepford. Right. And so, instead of just rejoicing in our various gifts, and we are all created differently, and it's good. And so I definitely write about that because I think it's something that we struggle with. And social media doesn't help.
No. I was just thinking Pinterest. I mean,
I'm not even on Pinterest.
Oh, I go on there, and this is what will happen, Trillia, no lie. Yeah. Summer's approaching, right? So at the beginning of May, I'll go to Pinterest and look at all these fun activities to do with your kids because, they'll be home with me 24/7 for 8 weeks. And I'll make all these big plans. And do you know how many we'll do? Like 3.
Yeah.
And they'll look awful, and then I'll feel defeated.
Exactly. Well, that hits on the chapter on measuring up.
Yes.
Yeah, because I think so often we put pressures on ourselves that we don't need to.
No.
I remember, can I tell you a funny story?
Yes.
Okay. I remember when I first got married. Uh-huh. Okay, so my husband's mother, who is one of my best friends, is an incredible cook.
Uh-oh. I see where this is going.
Yeah. So when we first got married, every night I would cook a dessert. Every night. Oh, so it was like peach cobbler and all this. And finally, after 15 pounds later, he was like, you don't have to do that, right? And of course, now that I'm 12 years into my marriage, no. Exactly. But now, I mean, I love serving and cooking, and it's fun. But I was just trying to measure up to something that I didn't have to. Yeah. And he took note of it, and he was like, you have freedom. Stop doing that. And, there was a heart and desire to serve him, but really I just wanted to impress him and measure up. And it's good for me now, as I know that I will never fully measure up, but God does. He measures up on my behalf.
Right.
And that's good enough for me.
Yeah. And he married you, not his mom. So,
And just to be really, really frank, his mom is awesome, and I love learning from her. Uh-huh. So I don't, it wasn't, it was just, he married me and not his mom. But, it's been so fun to learn from her. But it was funny to.
That is funny.
Right? Yeah.
You know where I feel this the most in not measuring up? I think I feel this the most in parenting. I feel parenting has so many more expectations on it than it did when our parents were parenting.
Yes.
I feel like there's some good things have come over the 30 years, I think people have learned things about parenting that are beneficial now. But I also feel like there's so many more, like we're supposed to measure up to more than our parents had to measure up with. And I struggle with that.
No, I think you're exactly right. There's a section about resting in there, because I think when we see the parent who is able to juggle 15 activities and do it all with joy, and it can be a temptation to want to also do that and think it's necessary.
Yeah.
And then there's just wanting your kids to do well in school and
everything, yes,
and wanting your kids to obey, and
yes,
and there's one. I think that's a huge temptation for women, and I think we just need to rest and trust the Lord for our kids' future. Trust the Lord. It's hard, and it's something I wrestle with too. And
it's hard.
It's hard.
I feel like it's a learning curve for our kids too. So for our family, there's 4 kids in our family. And so we are constantly having conversations with them, real conversations of, we can't do what your other friends are doing because they have 1 or 2 kids and there's 4 of you guys. We don't have the finances, the room, whatever to do that. And so my kids are even learning, not sacrifices per se, but just this is how our family works. And I hope that they're learning that it's okay, you know.
Yeah.
I asked my kids the other day, we were in the car driving, and I was like, do you like having, you know, 4s? These days, I have tons of my friends have 4 kids, so it doesn't seem like a huge amount, but it is a lot of kids.
Yeah.
And I was like, do you like having 4 kids in our family? And my oldest was like, well, they all said, yeah, because there's people to play with. And that's true. They always have someone to play with. And then my oldest, he did say this, but he didn't say it in a bitter way. He said it in more of it is what it is kind of way. He's like, but the downside is that we just can't do as much stuff because there's 4 of us.
Yeah.
And I was like, I was proud because he wasn't upset, because we have these conversations a lot. But then it did kind of punch me in the gut. Sometimes I feel like, man, my kids don't get to do as much as their friends do, and blah, 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 blah. They only have one game and instead of all the games. But I think it's good for them. You know, they're learning.
Yeah.
And we're kind of honest. And so I think it helps me in my struggle too, of not measuring up, of realizing, well, my family is the most important. So if I want to look like them, then that would hurt my family. And so
that is perfect. And that is what we're individual families. So we can't try to live and look like everyone else. So, and it's so helpful for me to have Thern, and we talk about what we want our family to do and look like, and that's what we do.
Yeah.
Because we just can't. And I'm gifted differently. Okay, so here in this area, the area I live in, a lot of the moms are incredible at birthday parties.
Oh, you're not even going to want to hear about my birthday parties.
Well, I'm like, son, we're going to the park. I'll buy you a cake. Play with the bench. You will have a blast. And he does. Yes. But I just cannot. I'm not that creative.
Mm-hmm. No.
It's not where I'm gifted. But we can enjoy. We enjoy a lot of laughter. We enjoy various adventures. I will take them to show them different parks, and we will draw, and we will write, and we will create. Though I can't draw. I will look at his drawings.
Yes. Yes.
But I am just not, it's not my gift I'm not crafty. No, I just can't do it. And so, but it's been so good, since he's been in school to really to release that, anxiety, and just to be who I am as his mom, and just to have fun with how the Lord has made me and him, and to also still go to these parties and rejoice in the gifts of these other women.
Yes.
But yeah, when we first moved, I was just like, oh my goodness. Yeah. I stink. And then the Lord just worked in my heart and helped show me that I was trying to measure up to something. And I don't have to. And it was good. It's good.
We're the same way with birthday parties. We have lots of friends who they like rent out places or trampoline houses or whatever. Yeah. And I always just tell my kids, like, that's just not a value for our family to put our money there, you know. And so we talk about that a lot. Like, what's a value for our family? A value for our family would be all of us being able to go on vacation versus throwing 4 elaborate birthday parties.
Right.
So it's just a value that we hold.
Yeah.
Rather than that. And so I think they're learning that as well. But I have a girlfriend. She's my best friend in the whole world. She makes the gifts that she makes for teachers every year are unbelievable. Like, she'll send me the picture, and I'm just like, for a split second, mad, and then happy, and then jealous, and then happy, you know? Yeah. And my gifts are store-bought, and I think they're perfect, but she loves doing that. By no means is she trying to be, you know, something she's not. It's who she is.
Exactly. And so you can rejoice in that. That's the way the Lord has made her. And if it makes you feel any better, I forget to give gifts. So at least you're buying a gift.
Right.
No, so it's just, I think it's the way the Lord has made her, so we can rejoice in that.
So good.
Yeah, that's
well,
awesome.
If you forget gifts, Trillia, you can do what I do. I always go back to my husband's office in his closet and get out CDs of his and give those as gifts. So you can give books. I give CDs, you can give books.
I can, that's right. That's perfect.
Yeah. You know, you might feel like you're kind of like tooting your own horn, but they'll love it, you know.
You're so funny. Well, you know, it's so sweet. My son, he likes to write his own little books about dragons and other various things. He's very cute. And he asked me to give his teacher a book and asked me to write a little note to her in fear of faith. It was just the sweetest thing. So it was a joy to be able to give one actually to his teacher, but it was brought on by him, which was
proud of his mom.
It was so sweet. I just was so honored. And so it was just a sweet memory.
That is really sweet.
He's great.
Oh, that's so sweet. Do y'all have big plans for the summer? Anything?
No, I don't even know. I kind of...
It's 2 months away. I kind of caught you off guard.
Yeah, like, what are we doing? Is it... well, I think... I really think because of Fear of Faith coming out, we've been kind of just thinking about April.
Yes.
And then, yes, but my husband and I, this is kind of fun, and it has nothing to do with our kiddos, but we are thinking about taking a trip to New York together.
Oh, you totally should, yes.
Yes, so I'm really excited about that. So we are hoping to get tickets to Jimmy Fallon.
I love Jimmy Fallon.
Yeah, he's hilarious. And if we can do that, then I think we're going to do it. But yeah, so we are talking about doing that. And that is the only big summer plan that I can think of. We took a family vacation last year, and I don't think we're going to take a big vacation this year. I think we're going to just do small things around here and do a lot of swimming in the pool.
That's
and
so fun, yes.
Yeah.
We love New York City. We actually honeymooned there and have been back a couple times since then. But I'm a huge fan of husbands and wives getting away without kids. So way to go.
Yes, we haven't in a while. Well, that's not true. We haven't left the city by ourselves in a while. So this will be very, just so fun and refreshing. Yes.
This is your second book to release. Is it are you still as giddy as the first time?
Gosh, yes. And still as nervous.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's just, when you pour out your heart in words into something that the world, even if it's just a small world, will read.
Yes.
It's a scary endeavor, and you just pray that the Lord would be glorified and that people would be encouraged. And this particular topic is incredibly personal to so many people.
Yeah.
So I am praying that people are ministered to. I touch on anorexia. I mean, just a lot of really personal topics.
Heavy topics too, yeah.
Yeah, heavy topics that can really... So I love it. I'm so excited. I'm prayerful, and I hope people will get it. Because
I remember the first time I submitted something to someone that was going to be published. Like, it wasn't just my blog. Like, it was actually going to be in a magazine.
Yeah.
And I sent it off, and I hit send, and there it went. And I texted Aaron. I was like, I feel like I'm standing naked in front of the whole world. Like, I just feel like it's like you just put yourself out there so much. Yeah, it is. It's very, very sobering, and so it's such a joy and it's so exciting. But it's sobering. I think a lot of people romanticize writing. Let me tell you, if you're listening and you are pursuing writing, it is not glamorous, but it is a joy. Yeah. So you sit often by yourself in front of a computer typing away, and then you send off your words and you pray that it will be useful. And sometimes it is just for yourself, but often you're writing because you want to minister to others. For sure. And then you have the fear of the Lord. You really want to make sure that you are writing something that's grounded in good truth. Oh, yes. Yeah, so I just, there's just a lot to think about when writing. It's not just like, like you said, you hit something and it's like, I'm naked. Yes, here it is. Yeah. Trillia, would you say that this book is geared towards women? Yes. Okay. It's totally geared towards women, and I really am praying that women will pick it up. But I think
it will be a helpful book for pastors and husbands as well, because it's so honest.
Right.
I have women who are sharing stories, and it takes some of the guessing game in the mind away.
Yeah.
So and just so that as they're ministering to people, they can read, okay, so this could potentially be what's going on.
Right.
But it is for women, yes.
Okay, great. And people can get it anywhere books are sold?
Yeah, I don't know.
Maybe. I know you can get it on Amazon, I'm sure, right?
Yes, you can get it on Amazon.
You can get anything on Amazon these days. So
yes, Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Lifeway, and that's where I'm sure of, and Moody, yeah. Okay. So Lifeway Books, like the
bookstore,
the store, yeah, they'll have it.
Okay, well, I can't wait to read it.
Thank you.
I'm a fan of yours, and so I'm a fan of what you write, and it's always like based in good scripture. So I love that as well. It's a good Christ-centered view. So thank you for putting your words out there.
Thank you, and thank you for having me, and your support and encouragement has been such a blessing.
Oh, so fun. Okay, Trillia, thanks for joining us on the Happy Hour.
All right.
Guys, thanks for joining us today on the Happy Hour. Wasn't Trillia lovely? She's graciously given away 2 of her new books that come out today, April 1st. So you need to head over to my website, jamieivey.com. All you need to do is leave me a comment. I'd love to hear what you like about the show, things we talked about. And then in a week, I'll pick 2 winners, and each of you will get a new book. Go to my website, tons of links as to everything we talked about, where to get the books, all kinds of stuff like that. If you haven't subscribed to the podcast, go ahead and head over to iTunes and do that. That way, you always have it in your inbox waiting for you when a new one pops up. I want to say thanks to a couple people who left comments for us. Lynn's Huff left a comment on iTunes, and she said, I found the Happy Hour with Jamie Ivey a few weeks ago after hearing Jamie on the Influence Network podcast. I've loved each episode of the Happy Hour I've listened to. Jamie has engaging and inspiring guests. The topics range from faith to books to parenting and just about anything else you would talk to your friends about. As a stay-at-home mom, it can be hard to find meaningful connection and inspiration. But the Happy Hour gives me both. I love to listen as I attend to chores around the house. Makes the time fly, and I finish each podcast feeling renewed and inspired. Thanks, Jamie, for all you do. Thank you for that sweet comment. Love it. Lauren Alexander said, love Jamie's conversational style, interesting guests, the topics chosen, and the insight I receive on the most important things in life, faith, family, and fun stuff too. That was so sweet. I love when y'all leave comments. If you haven't left a comment or a rating over on iTunes, it's not just fun for me to read and to share your name on the podcast, but it also helps other people find the show. All right, last one. Kate Johnston Tucker left a review over on iTunes. She said, my new favorite podcast. Jamie Ivey is a natural interviewer, interesting guest with a perfect mix of deep and fun subject matter. I'm delighted when a new episode pops up. Thanks for the great work. Thanks, guys, so much, and I hope you enjoyed listening to the show. Tell your friends. I'd love to hear from you. Find me on Facebook or Twitter, Instagram, and let me know your thoughts. If you have questions or topics I should talk about with upcoming guests, let me know. And I will see you guys next week. Love the people you're with and enjoy your day.